Welcome back, families, to the American Family Survival Network. I'm your host, Jeffrey Snipes. This is the second video in a series covering the top 3 skills for the prepper checklist. The first was purify water, which we went over in detail in the first video, discussing the solar disinfection method, step by step, and we went over starting a fire, and we left off with make a fire starter step by step. And this is from the Family Survival System by Frank Mitchell. And so here are the steps. Saved at least a dozen empty toilet paper cardboard rolls. Obtained ordinary rubbing alcohol from a drugstore or supermarket. Obtained ordinary cotton balls or clothes, dry or lint. Dampened, not soaked, dry or lint or cotton balls with rubbing alcohol. Stuffed empty toilet paper rolls with alcohol dampened dryer, lint, or cotton balls. Placed stuffed rolls inside a Ziploc bag. Gave the rolls a squirt of rubbing alcohol, then sealed the bag. What you get with this humble fire starter is a cheap, almost free method of reliable ignition. The alcohol burns hot and fast, and when lit, the whole combination produces a hot, long-lasting flame, to which you can then put kindling over top of, then wood. Preparing these fire starters in advance and placing them in your emergency bag will take the frustration out of starting fires. Number 3 on this list was control bleeding by using a tourniquet. Disaster situations breed lacerations, and you don't need much of a laceration in order to bleed out in a matter of minutes. If you learn just one first aid technique, it should be the application of a tourniquet. Tourniquets are available and in common use in the military and can be purchased nearly everywhere online. Buying a $20 combat application tourniquet, or otherwise known as a CAT, is far better than improvising one. When should you use a tourniquet? In most cases, you'll know when you see the wound. If the words fire hose or geyser come to mind, you probably need a tourniquet. Follow these steps. Located the wound and noted that it was on either an arm or a leg. Applied immediate pressure to the wound with anything available and elevated the wound. Noted that the wound did not stop bleeding even with heavy pressure after 15 seconds. Slipped the tourniquet over the affected limb. Placed the tourniquet 2 inches proximal to the wound, example closer to the heart or upstream of the wound but not on a joint. Tightened the tourniquet first with the Velcro strap, then with the windlass until no pulse was felt downstream of the wound. Placed the injured person in a restful position and sought medical care. Used in such a method, a tourniquet can staunch the fiercest bleeding until more skilled help can arrive. Carry at least 4 or 5 of these in your bug-out bag. Knowledge. Our definition of knowledge is basically the things you know about or know how to do but have never done before. While knowledge is inferior to skills, it still beats gear hands down. And that's why it's below skills in the prepper triangle, but above gear. The simple fact of survival is that you can spend your entire life learning, practicing, and honing your skills and still never be able to master or perform all of them. It's just impossible to possess all the skills necessary to survive a disaster, regardless of what MacGyver may have taught you. Also, like a doctor who specializes in one area of practice, your skills may be confined to 1 or 2 areas of expertise. You may know how to start fires or purify water, but know absolutely nothing of how to work on cars. This isn't a problem. Essentially, you must augment your skills with knowledge. Let's take the water example used in the previous section. The first survivalist was essentially doomed when his $500 water filter cracked. Let's say, however, that he decided to learn how to purify water using bleach, and then he printed off a cheat sheet on how to perform this. He has actually never purified water with bleach before, so it can't really be called a skill, but he still has the knowledge of how it ought to be done. How would the outcome have been different in this situation? Clearly, it would be markedly different. The knowledge of how to do things in areas that you have no skills and needs to be acquired now. And this knowledge needs to be stockpiled for future reference. Some knowledge you will possess in hand, other knowledge will be possessed in the form of written or digital archives. Keep in mind, however, that you may lose knowledge that exists in physical form, depending on the disaster you find yourself in. The knowledge in your head can never really be taken from you. Still, both are needed since some skills you may need to perform in a disaster are so rare and esoteric that you may simply not be able to perform them without an appropriate guidebook or reference material. Things like setting broken bones, changing the fan belt on your car, or reloading a round of ammunition might be things you've never done before, but that you have reference material on hand to help you should you need it to do it. Knowledge can be obtained by acquiring medical textbooks, first aid manuals, military field manuals, communications reference manuals, vehicle service manuals, online videos of people performing certain tasks, farming and gardening manuals. Keep one thing in mind: the knowledge to perform just about every task on planet Earth exists in printed or video form. From farming rutabagas to brain surgery, there is probably a manual or video for it out there right now. So how do you acquire and store this knowledge? Most of it's free on the internet, and that's a great place to start, like right here in this video. We recommend acquiring this knowledge in digital form and placing it on a flash drive or similar device. Why not books and paper? The weight of these paper manuals are simply too much to be mobile if need be. While an extensive library is great, you really can't take it with you, and it could be damaged or destroyed. Here's a simple solution for you to store some knowledge on your person. Most people nowadays have a smartphone of some sort. Each of these phones has onboard memory, and sometimes this is expandable. Take the iPhone, for example. Most models have at least 16 GB onboard storage. Consider that with half that space, you could fit just about every manual on every topic you might ever need to know about. If you're saying to yourself right now, wait, cell service won't work during a disaster, you're right. We don't care about cell service, however. With a $79 waterproof case and a $50 solar charger, we can keep your iPhone running and providing critical knowledge long after cell phone service dies, and perfectly safe from the elements. It's a simple solution, and there's really no excuse for not having the knowledge handy. Lastly, keep in mind that not all knowledge can be simply archived and never again looked at. Some knowledge needs to be retained in your onboard memory, your brain. In order to properly do this, allocate a percentage of your time to watching videos on critical skills and things you feel that you might need to know. You may not ever get to do them or even practice them, but when the time comes, you can recall what you saw or read and perform the task. Even if you can't perform the task perfectly, who can on the first attempt? You'll at least have a general idea of what to do. Contrast this with the person who doesn't even have an inkling of what to do. So folks, please go to the AmericanFamilySurvivalStore.com today for all your family's emergency and survival needs. And remember, protect and safeguard your family. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, fear not, and God bless. Thank you so much. Have a great day.